Hello. Um, Today we're going to be going over TwoSum, which is a very famous LeetCode problem. And let's just go through what the question is asking for and how we're going to solve it. So first off, we can see that we have an array of integers called nums and an integer that we want called target. And what we want to do is we want to return the indices of the two numbers such that they add up to target. And that seems to be pretty simple, right? Because you have a number that you want. All you have to do is basically go through your array and then see if there are the two numbers that can add up to the target. And of course, let's just keep reading so we don't miss anything. You may assume that each input would have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. And you can return the answer in any order. And here's an example. So nums is equal to an array containing the integers 2, 7, 11, 15, and you want the number 9. And what numbers in here add up to 9? 2 and 7. 2 is at index 0, which corresponds to the 0 here, and 7 corresponds to index 1, and 7 is in index 1. And since we can assume that there's only going to be one answer, once we find that, we can just return that array. Second example, nums is equal to 3, 2, and 4. The target is 6. And the numbers that we need are 2 and 4. And 2 is in index 1 because we're 0 indexed, and 4 is in index 2, so that's why it's like this. And because of the rule that you cannot use the same element twice, you can't just say, I want 3 and 3. So if you don't account for that condition, you're going to get 0, 0, right? But that's not the correct answer. And for the third example, same kind of deal with the previous one. You can't use the same element twice. So instead of going through 0, 0, you're going to keep going looking for other numbers, right? So then here's some just constraints, and we talked about this already. Only one valid answer exists. So first of all, let's just go to the brute force solution, right? Let's just see the manual way to go about this problem. And it is the intuitive way to go about this, because logically, if we were thinking through this is how we go through it. So first of all, we need a way to iterate through the array, right? And the big idea of the brute force condition, I'm going to write a hashtag brute force. I'm going to write that, and then the big idea is that for each element in the array, for each element, you're checking through the array again and seeing if there is a number that adds up to the target for that element. And you're going to do that for each element, because the worst case scenario is that you might have to go through all the way until the end because you don't find the target, right? Until the very end. So let's start by finding a way to iterate through the array while keeping track of the indices, right? Because that's what you want to return. You want to return the indices. So brute force, and let's just make a note here. Want to this isn't right. Let's do that. Boom. Okay. Want to, and let's just say this is not note. Want to return the indices. Cool. So we want to return the indices. How do we do this? Well, just like we said, let's find a way to iterate through this. So let's just write a for loop for index in range len nums. So what this is doing is that we're going through the entire range of our input array, which is called nums, and we have a target, right? So our target, if we think about this mathematically, our target is a number that we want to add up to. To find a number that we actually need, that's going to be the target minus the current element of the array, right? So let's just do that. So let's see here. The number that we need is equal to the target minus nums of index, right? So that's what that's going to do. And need, so for this instance, if we're looking at this instance of nums, when we're looking at 2, so index is 0, need is equal to target 9 minus nums of index, which is 0, and this is going to be 2. So 9 minus 2 is 7. So need is going to be 7. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to have to iterate through the rest of the nums array to find it if there is a 7. So now what we're going to do is we're going to index for index 2 in range len nums again. If need, so if 7 is equals to, or a better way to write this would be, it doesn't really matter, but if nums of index 2 is equal to 7, which is the case in our example, it's not always 7. And also we need to keep in mind of the constraint that our index isn't the same, right? So let's just put an extra check in here. I mean, you can also put this in your first if condition. So you can say if this is equal to need and index 1 is not equal to index 2. So you can say this index 2 is not equal to index here. And then you can say, okay, well, we satisfy all the conditions. All we got to do is return. All we got to do is return. Okay, let's try running this code. Looks like it works, and let's try submitting it. And I want you to notice the runtime that this takes. So as you can see, this is 5,000 milliseconds, which is about 5 seconds. Not so bad, but we can definitely do better. And don't let these submissions act as a spoiler for you. So okay, this is our brute force solution, right? It works, but it's a little bit slow.